What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers win again today, beating the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis 105-100. This is the Blazers' second straight victory after dropping 7 straight, so maybe things are starting to get back on track here. This was a solid defensive game after a first quarter in which the Blazers gave up, I'm blanking on how many points they gave up, 31? 31 in the first, is that correct, Eric? 31 in the first, and then only 69 the final 3 quarters. So a good defensive outing from the Blazers on the road. Their best defensive game on the road of the entire season. This was a game where Dame hit some Dame shots, 2 and 1 3-point jumpers, 2 4-point plays for Dame. He looked comfortable. Looked like he got a little banged up there in the fourth, but still came up big down the stretch. Norman Powell had a good game too. This is the first game in which Norm has really stepped up in CJ McCollum's absence, and Norm hits a clutch mid-range jumper down the stretch, which was good to see. Also played some good crunch time defense. Nasir Little comes up with a couple key boards, one offensive, one defensive there in the final couple of minutes. Overall, a good team effort. Eric, what are your thoughts on this one tonight?
It feels nice to be talking about a road victory, so happy about that. I thought we might have blown them out tonight if we didn't have so many sloppy turnovers. So that was an issue again on the road where we were taking care of the ball. But once again, it's a fixable problem if we have movement and don't have players standing around, stuff like that. So
you went straight to the bad, huh?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm frustrated that that's still a problem. But in spite of that, it's good to get the win and to leave Memphis feeling good with a victory, and to play well, frankly, down the stretch of a close game, because we've had, the last few years we've done fairly well in close games, especially because we have Dame, but it seems like this year the team always we're playing against always hits a dagger 3 in the worst possible time. Yep. Tonight they have that jump ball tip ahead for an easy Bane dunk that I thought was going to be maybe the play of the game that ends up the reason we lost. Just an inexcusable error there. But
yeah, that was brutal.
Overall, we made the stops when we needed to. Wasn't pretty, but we got a victory, and that's what we've been talking about. Just got to grind out wins and find a way to scrap back into this playoff picture, because there aren't a lot of teams distancing themselves, and Memphis was actually one of those teams, but that's why this game was kind of important, to kind of stay within striking range if we ever are going to get back in it this season.
Yeah. Offensively, I mean, outside of the turnovers, I thought it was a pretty well-played game. Portland ends up shooting 57% from 2, 34% from 3, but they get to the line 28 times, made 86% of their free throws, so they were aggressive, which can explain some of the turnovers. Some of it was just bad reads. Nurkic ends up with 7 of them. He missed a couple reads, and I don't want to start with this. I'll touch on this in a few minutes as to why I think the main reason why we turned over the ball a lot. The offense was kind of clunky today. We only end up finishing with 17 assists on 35 shots, so a big part of this game was Dame just kind of carrying the team, 9 for 19 from the field, 11 for 12 from the free throw line, and he has 32 points on 19 shots, so he's back to being efficient. He was 6 for 10 inside the arc, 3 for 9 behind it. So, in a game like this, the offense is good enough to win, and it's because Dame has a good game. At the start of the year, we lose this game simply because Dame was struggling. So it's just nice for him to have a rhythm back. He's getting to the line again. He just looks like old Dame. But we made up a lot of ground with the bench in. A big part of that was Robert Covington, who looked like old Rocco today. I was very pleased with how Rocco played. Made a nice cut and got a layup out of it. Was 2 for 2 inside the arc, 3 for 5 behind the arc. I think he made his last 5 threes, so it was nice to see him make some shots. But then defensively, he was good today. He was better on the ball than he has been. Overall, I was pleased with his overall effort off the bench. He plays 34 minutes. We were a plus 12 with him in the game. Simons, 2 for 9, struggles to shoot the ball but gets to the line 5 times. We were a plus 13 with him in the game. With Macklemore, he doesn't make a shot, but we're still a plus 13 with him in the game in 15 minutes. I think the biggest thing offensively was it was just easier when we had more shooting in. The starting lineup, in my opinion, doesn't currently have enough shooting in it, which is fine because obviously we're missing a starter. But with Nas shooting 30% from 3, Nurkic is like 22% from 3, and Larry Nance Jr. is 27% from 3. With those 3 guys not being 3-point shooters, they kind of loaded up on Dame. We're physical with him, with Dylan Brooks denying him, trying to body him, trying to be physical with him. And then whenever Dame back cut, they would just send a help guy off of one of those 3 non-shooters to try and go pick off the pass. So it got a little clunky at times. It's hard to deal with that when you don't have enough spacing, and Nurkic didn't make the right read, didn't see that guy flying over in the help side to break up that pass and just tried to force feed it to Dame. So Nurkic had a couple turnovers like that, and he overall had a pretty bad game. But it's just even more impressive that Dame was able to have the offensive night he did with Dylan Brooks on him, Memphis completely loading up on him, not much spacing. Little, Nance, and Nurkic each played at least 29 minutes and were a collective 0 for 4 from 3. So really, this offensively comes back to, we had a guy who made shots off the bench in Robert Covington. That was nice, but it was basically just a Dame and Norm game. And in the past, it's been a Dame and CJ game. So it's kind of a typical old-fashioned, so to say, game for the Blazers on the offensive end.
I agree with you about Rocco. I thought him and Norm, you could make the case that overall this was both of their best games of the year. Nurk probably his worst game of the year, just with how sloppy he was and how much he negatively impacted the game. The Grizzlies were playing kind of a Golden State Warrior type defense against us, where they did double a lot, but they also have like 2 guys around, one at the free throw line and one at the block, and it's almost like they're in a zone with those 2, but they're not with their other guys. And so once again, we have to find a way to make them pay for dedicating 3 guys to Dame. And in the breakdown tonight, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But like there can't be situations where we let a guy like Brooks just completely get in Dame's face and face guard him like an entire half, and they also have 2 guys spying on him or waiting for him in case he gets by Brooks, and then we also can't get enough open shots and can't generate offense. Those shouldn't be things that happen. Like if they're gonna take Dame out, we need to find a way to get open shots for the other players. And I felt like the clunkiness was because we just kept running our same basic pick and roll offense like we did under Stotts, right into where they wanted us to run that into. And luckily Dame is good enough to where he can turn the corner sometimes and still make a play. He had a couple of nice passes, kick out to Norm for a 3 late in the game, and that one to Rocco on the cut that you mentioned were both really good passes that so luckily we got just enough points to win this game, and they went ice cold at parts of this game too. Some of the guys who are used to having big nights against us did not, like a Desmond Bain. So thankfully we got out of here with the win.
Yeah. I don't think the right guys were cutting at the right times out of the pick and roll. There was numerous times out of pick and roll where like Nurkic would catch it, and Nas is in the corner and he's just spotting up. And it's like, dude, you have not shot the ball well. I have an
illustration for you later.
At all. Just cut baseline. And we've showed situations where we either cut baseline or needed to cut baseline in previous breakdowns. And I mean, the perfect example of it working is Rocco in a similar situation as Nas, cut baseline and got a layup. If anyone should be cutting between the 2 of those guys, it should be Nas. So that's what's funny about that. But overall, we'll get to the offense in your breakdown. Let's take a look at the team stats. All right, because I want to talk about Memphis's field goal shooting and 3-point shooting. 39% from the field, 27% from three. Now, they did get to the line a lot, 25 free throws, made 21 of them, so it was a good night for them shooting the ball. But overall, that's probably the best road numbers in terms of field goal percentage and 3-point percentage that we've held a team to all season long.
I don't remember Houston's, but that's the only other game that would probably come close.
See, and that's the thing is that was Houston playing terrible. I know Houston's playing better now, but that was Houston playing terrible. This is coming against a team that was hot, winners of 5 straight, winners of 9 of their last 10 heading in to this one. So to be able to do it against a solid team on the road, this is the first time the Blazers have even come close to this type of defensive performance on the road. Let's look at the other stats before we really dive into the defense. It felt like Memphis was getting a ton of offensive boards, but it was pretty even.
Well, they just had that one play. They had 2 offensive boards, and Konkar had one in the first half where we had 4 guys in the paint, and somehow he comes up with it. They're more like frustrating offensive rebounds, but obviously not massive amount.
Yeah, Melton had a couple of offensive rebounds kind of back-to-back as well. So it's guys that shouldn't necessarily be getting offensive rebounds. Now, they do play pretty big. They got Jackson at the 4, Adams at the 5, Kyle Anderson plays some 3, so they are a pretty big lineup. So overall, the offensive rebounding was pretty even. You'll take that, and we out-rebounded them by 18. A big part of that is they missed more shots than us. Assist numbers, 17 to 22. Turnovers. The turnovers. The fact that we won a road game turning the ball over 25 times just seems like incomprehensible to me.
It's disgusting.
I mean, but like,
and we didn't force turnovers.
But that's what I'm saying. That's like, it's like a bad thing, but it's a good thing. You know, the fact that we were able to play good enough defense that we gave ourselves that leeway, and it's not like we shot amazing from 3, 34%. We made shots inside, and that's the thing. Sometimes if you're able to get higher quality shots, you'll trade off some turnovers. So we shoot 57% inside the arc. That's a really good number, and we get to the line a lot, so that kind of might be a little bit of a byproduct of, maybe trying to thread the needle on a pass and whatnot. So, you don't want to see 25 turnovers. I almost said I can live with that, but 25 turnovers is bad, but a lot of them I felt like it was really us, like, not necessarily settling for bad jumpers. We were trying to make the right pass, and we were just having terrible reads in some situations. Sometimes it was Dame or Norm just trying to attack and get into the paint to make something happen and them losing the ball. But I like that a lot of them came out of aggression instead of, there are some bad ones. Dame drops an outlet pass in the backcourt out of bounds.
Yeah. But at the end of the first half, we have 3 straight turnovers, and then we get the ball with like 20-some seconds left, and it results in a jump ball because we almost turned the ball over again, and luckily Nurk got it off the jump ball. But that was almost 4 straight turnovers to end the half, and just I don't know. Like, there was one where Nurk, it was right at the beginning of the second half, Nurk just like goes to make a pass and it slips out of his hands and goes right to the defender. But I don't know if we were necessarily like giving up good shots to like try and make something happen, because like I felt like a lot of the turnovers, probably at least 10 of them were really bad ones too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like we collectively had butterfingers. Norb had a couple of plays where it's like dude just couldn't hang on to the ball. You know what I mean? So that's the thing is, some fluky stuff like that will obviously make it look worse, but that's not something, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating when it happens, but it's not anything you can really like complain about too much. You know what I mean? It's like, Dane, catch the ball. Of course he's trying to catch the ball. You know what I mean? He tries to catch the ball and drops it out of bounds. Like, what can you even say about that? It's frustrating, but there's not much you can say. It's just kind of, something that doesn't normally happen. And that happens on the road more so than home. the turnover number isn't good, but we were able to, when we weren't turning the ball over, I thought our shot quality was actually really, really good. So, maybe that's intertwined a little bit. Did you want to talk about the turnovers anymore, or you want to move on?
Well, real quick, so Kyle is saying there's only 20 turnovers according to the box score. There was 5 team turnovers. Like a shot clock violation doesn't go against the person who had the ball last. It counts as a team turnover, so it wouldn't show up in the individual box score.
Yeah. So 25 turnovers. Chris just gets these straight off of ESPN.
I mean, he does have typos sometimes, so I double check.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, for sure. Fast break points, we didn't get out and run, so that's the thing. We got high quality looks inside the arc, but it wasn't like because we were able to get out and run through transition. One of the fast break points was a Nas dunk. I don't remember the other one, so it's even more impressive. We were getting, without much spacing on the floor, we were really able to get some buckets inside. That was the most impressive part of this game offensively. Points in the paint, 34 for us, 42 for Memphis. That's not a surprise. They're a bigger lineup. Jaren Jackson Jr. was able to kind of have his way early, driving in and bodying his way inside. Largest lead for Memphis was 11. It felt like this game could have easily gotten away from us. It just felt like the typical script. They had to run there in the third quarter. But we pulled it back. Norm hit a couple of threes and got us back in this game. So Norm's shot making, Dame's shot making won us this game. And we've said that so much about Dame and CJ. It's just kind of the same script there. But anyway, defensively, Eric, I thought this was our highest energy game of the season on the defensive end, and I also thought, we made a bunch of dumb mistakes offensively, but in terms of defense, in terms of just making dumb mistakes, those were cleaned up a lot in this one. So playing with energy and not making dumb mistakes defensively, we can be a solid defense, and I think that was the recipe tonight. Dylan Burks goes off, but everybody else kind of struggled in this one for Memphis.
Yeah, and we saw Jaren Jackson when he was in there. He made several really tough shots where I thought we played really good defense on him, but he still scored anyway. And you can live with that. Nance in particular had 3 of them in this game where he played about as good of defense as you could, and the shot still went in. So, yeah, overall, I think it's pretty good. We still obviously have some problems with navigating screens and stuff like that. They missed a lot of open threes. But overall, I think we let the guys who we want to shoot, like if Kyle Anderson's going to shoot threes, whether they're open or not, like you live with the results of those. So, I think this was a pretty good game, but I also felt like Memphis didn't play their best either.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a team shoots 39% from the field and 27% from 3, they didn't play their best. It's night and day different. Like, here, a perfect example of this, and I was going to wait until we got to his player card, but I'm just going to say it now. Like, Norm, when he starts making shots, his defensive effort goes up. His defensive intensity goes up. And, like, that's kind of a complaint. Like, we just have to maintain a high level of defensive energy no matter if shots are falling or not. But Norm, I think this was his best effort in a while on the defensive end. He drew an offensive foul by simply trying to fight hard through a screen. How many times have we seen Norm get to a screen, just kind of die on the screen, or go under for no reason, or we switch, and it's just like something lazy? Instead, key play in the fourth quarter, he's down in the opposite corner, and they try and screen down for him, and he tries to fight through, and it draws an offensive foul. And that's, in a 5-point game, that's a key difference maker, just because you tried to fight through one screen. So, overall, like, we need to maintain that energy. It needs to not be dependent on if we make shots or not. But it was just funny because it's like, Norm hits those 2 threes, right? We're down 69-60. Norm hits 2 threes, gets it back to a 1-possession game, and you could just see his, like, he's feeling good about himself. You could see his energy pick up on the defensive end. He's getting low in the stance before the ball even crosses half court. You know what I mean? It's like, we need that all the time, no matter if you're making or missing that's kind of a complaint. We need to be more consistent with that, but it was nice that we played with energy today. It's nice that we played hard. We've talked so much about this team just being sleepy on the road, not playing with energy, and as easy of an analysis as this is to make, I just thought it was much better today.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is there anything you noticed in terms of like how we were defending things, or anything else you had on that end?
The only thing is, I felt like we did a better job of getting back and getting on to your guy and not doing those things that I've been pointing out in the breakdowns where we get cross-matched and then someone tries to get back to their guy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it happened a few times, but overall, I felt like the closeouts were pretty good tonight, and outside of a handful of them, I felt like we were doing mostly the right things on the screens and trying to recover. They had a stretch in the second half where Brooks, Anderson, and I think Jackson all got a layup because Adams set a screen for them in the paint, and the big didn't help, and whoever was guarding that guy got caught up. So just little things like that they need to clean up. But I mean, if that's all we're talking about is a handful of plays versus half the game, I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, and Memphis leads the league in terms of fast break points. They average 16.8 a game, which is number one in the NBA. Golden State a close second. So we held them below their average, but like a key part of dealing with a team that fast breaks well is it's really easy to get mismatched, right? Because maybe you're running back on defense and your guy's completely across the court and you don't have time to run over to them. So it's really easy to end up in mismatched situations, and with Memphis being a big team that starts a big power forward and Steven Adams, who's one of the bigger centers in the league, it could have been really easy to end up with like Dame and Norm on Jaren Jackson Jr. a lot of times. Now it helped that Jaren Jackson Jr. had some foul trouble, but overall, not only did we hold them below their average in terms of fast break points, as you said, we didn't get mismatched getting back. We did a really good job of picking up whoever was closest if we needed to, but we did a really good job of like getting to our matchups while stopping their transition breaks. And here's a big thing about stopping transition play too for the other team. If you take a bunch of bad long threes, it sparks runouts, right? The other thing that sparks runouts is turnovers, so it's even more impressive considering how many times we turned over the ball that they didn't have more fast break points. But I thought overall, like, getting good shots, not shooting a bunch of deep contested threes that end up missing long, battling on the offensive boards, so they needed to keep 2 or 3 guys around on the defensive glass to be able to maintain it. I thought all those things were key in us not letting them go off like they usually do against us in transition.
Yep.
So
I agree with that.
Shout out to Near012, member for 17 months. Here is his member message. He says, Nas for the win. We will talk about Nas. Appreciate you, Near012. We'll talk about Nas and the player cards after we get through Brains Breakdown. All right, Eric. We got 2 plays today. Mm-hmm. This is play number 1. What you got?
So this is what I was talking about, where they had 2 guys. So you see Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams here. Now, there's only 6 seconds left on the shot clock here. But keep in mind that this happens all the time where Dame gets put in a position where he's on the cross cut. This is the exact same kind of setup that we had in that play where I had that huge rant a couple games ago. So you can't let teams get away with this. They have 2 guys here who aren't even guarding their guys in Adams and Dylan Brooks, and you have Bane out here pressuring Dame. Now, we allow these 3 guys up top, Nas, Norm, and Rocco, to basically be guarded by one guy. And Nurk's gonna like kind of hang out on baseline, which is good. He should probably come out a little further, because Dame can't pass it to him even if he's open here. So as we go to the next slide, Dame's going to drive to the corner, and notice how Brooks and Adams are still right there. Adams sees Nurk, but Nurk's going to turn around and go back the other way. Rocco actually does move a little bit, so congratulations. But if he's behind Brooks, like, it won't matter really, because Dame has no chance once again of passing to him. And Dame has no chance of making that cross-court pass to Norm. And Nas isn't open, even though, they have 3 guys on Dame. So this is just a really bad setup. And this is what we did, like, pretty much all the second half. And it's just really frustrating that we can't find a way to make them pay for this. And we just overload one side of the court, and let Dame try to figure it out on the other side. And, Dame's good enough where he can still score. Sometimes he scored enough tonight, made enough plays to make us win. But as we go to the third slide in this one, he takes one of the worst shots of the night. I know the shot clock's fading down, but it's a step back baseline 3-point shot. And this is the play where Nas. So the good part about this is they're not in rebounding position here. So, it looks like they are because they have guys in the paint. But if you crash like Nas does on this, I didn't show that picture, but this is the one where he comes in, gets the rebound, kicks out to Norm for the 3 right before the end of the half. Yeah. So good movement after Dame shoots. And that's what you have to do. If Dame's going to have to take a tough shot because you don't run a good offense, you at least have to get that offensive board when he misses, and it results in a 3-pointer. So good effort by the Blazers to make them pay that way. But we have to run a better offense to not allow teams to just do this. Because in the playoffs, this is what, Draymond Green would just stand at the free throw line. Dame would dribble across, and Draymond would just wait for him to make a move or get a screen and then come and help. And we can't allow a team to have an extra defender just stand there at the top of the key waiting for Dame to do something, because it's just not consistent enough. You're not going to get good enough shots out of it. And especially when Dame goes to, if he dribbles to his left here, and he's making it even worse because he can't throw that pass across court from that position. So he pretty much takes most of the team out of the play that way.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to be in the set all the time. The Blazers have to do a better job of structured freelance. Mm-hmm. Okay? And what I mean by structured freelance is a lot of times if Dame has the ball, off-ball guys are going to be either 3 on the opposite side of the court or 2 on the opposite side of the court, and one of them will be on Dame's side of the court in the corner. Okay? As a coaching staff, you got to try and teach your players, all right, if there's 3 of you off-ball on the far side of the court, look to set this combination of screens. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what Golden State does so well. Look for this off-ball screen, look for this off-ball screen, look to cut into this gap, and it can even involve Nurkic. Like, Nurkic here could go and screen away to Jaren Jackson Jr., and Nas could cut towards the middle of the key, right? And then Norm can spot up if they collapse on Nas. If Nas gets a pass, he can pivot and kick out to Norm, or maybe he has Nurkic as an option. You know what I mean? That's just one example of many different things they could do here. If you watch Golden State, they run this setup with 3 guys off the ball on one side of the court, and then usually it's Steph and Draymond on the other side of the court and some pick and roll action or whatnot. And the other 3 guys on the other side of the court are rarely standing around. They're always looking to screen for each other, cut, and they do so really well, and that keeps the defense from completely loading up on Steph. Here, the defense is completely loaded up on Dame. Now, it's not like a set play, but Golden State is really good at freelancing off the ball, and they get great shots because of it. And we suck at it. I mean, this play is a perfect example. We've had many plays where it's just guys just standing around, you know, so...
I don't know if you clicked off. Go back to the first slide.
I'm on the first slide.
So, this is what Golden State does. Draymond will choose one of those 2, either Brooks or Adams, and get in front of him. So Curry can pass him the ball. And then when you do that, the other 3, if they're timed right, if the actions are timed right, one of them is guaranteed to be open. And this is a way we could utilize Nurk's playmaking skills. Mm-hmm. He could run to the elbow right now and get right in between those 2, Dame could pass to him, and one of those three in this situation is probably Norm. So if Norm dives down, if Nurk had the ball at the elbow, Norm dives right to the hoop, straight line drive. Jackson's either got to stop that or stay out on Nas. And if he doesn't stop the line drive, Nurk just drops it off to him for a dunk. If he collapses on Norm, Nurk can easily throw that cross-court pass to Nas, and he's got no one within 10 feet of him for a three. Yeah. And that's what teams like Golden State do. They put Draymond in a position to use his passing to take advantage of it. Whereas Nurk can't even get the ball because he's behind everyone, and then we can't take advantage of them guarding 2 with 3 on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The only problem I have with it is Nas is not shooting the 3 ball.
Well, yeah, I mean,
remotely well. So
I'm just talking about like
place with that, but
I'm talking about the setup of the play, not necessarily the actual play itself.
Yeah, idealistically, Nas would be the cutter there, and Norm spotting up.
If you are worried about that, here's what you do: Norm fades to the 3. Nas goes and screens down on Jackson so he can't get out, and Nurk throws that pass cross-court to Norm then instead, a wide-open 3.
Yeah, I mean...
And it's probably cash the way he was shooting in this game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it doesn't even have to be Nurk throwing that pass either. If Nas goes and screens Jaren Jackson too, and Norm slides down towards the corner, Dame could throw this pass. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, Dame has to get a little separation on his defender, so he might have to use a dribble move to set up the pass, but, he can see the court. So Jackson... It's going to be hard for him to see Nas if Nas screens him here. If Nas steps down and screens him. Dame would be able to see Nas coming down for that screen. Norm should be looking for that. So that's another example of something they could do to get Norm a good 3-point look, right? And then if Tyus Jones rotates over to Norm, Rocco either spots up or cuts. It's just basic basketball stuff that the team like Golden State does really well, and it makes it even harder to guard Steph, especially when you consider all the off-ball movement he does. And I've just always wished we did a better job with that, and that's why I wanted Chauncey Billups. That's why I didn't like Terry Stotts, because it looked like this, and that's been a big disappointment so far this year with Chauncey Billups. Is a lot of standing around, not the level of improvement that I was hoping to see. But
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's play number 1. Play number 2.
And then
did you
again
move on that play?
No, I do. Again, in the second half, I was just preparing my thoughts for the second play.
What you got?
I felt like we were just spamming pick and roll. It wasn't really working outside of a couple plays. Dylan Brooks was getting through the picks, or he'd just go under with the help, a hard hedge from whoever's screening. And so here we have a play set up where we have already we have a guy who's off his guy, Norm. There's no one near Norm because I think that was Bane again. I can't really tell. But so he was so worried about Dame, he didn't see Norm cut. And this is one of the examples we were talking about. So, try to find a way to exploit that in the future. But so Nurk's going to set a pick. It's not going to get Dame open. And then in the second slide, Nurk's going to go back and set another pick. Dame's not going to get open. And then in the third, so he decides to dump it off to Nurk, who has the ball in a pretty good position to take advantage of what's going on here.
Yep. That's what teams do to us all the time.
Yep. So jump off to Nurk, he's going to catch it, and then as we go to the next slide, take a look at Tyus Jones on Nas in the corner.
Yep.
And this is the one play I think you were talking about. So Tyus Jones has his back turned to Nas, comes to help so Nurk can't get that drive. If Nas cuts here, Nurk can lob it to him or pass it to him for a wide open dunk. And on the next slide, we see that Tyus Jones turns around to find Nas once Steven Adams recovers. If he turns around, Nas shouldn't be there. If Nas cuts, Tyus Jones is completely taken out of the play because there's no one there. Nurk has nothing because he can't get by Adams. And unfortunately, he has to kick it back out to Dame. He sets another pick and roll, and it gets dribbled off a foot, shot clock violation. So this is what we're talking about. When it's all it would take is a simple cut, and now Nas, this whole possession, just stayed in the corner, didn't move once, outside of a couple steps. and Rocco stayed in the bottom. Norm cut through and stayed on the bottom. They both were like insignificant in this whole play. But all it would
Yeah.
have taken was one little cut by Nas, and we have a wide open shot. Instead, it's a turnover.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm completely cool with Rocco and Norm spotting up, especially
Yeah.
because Rocco was hitting shots too. When it's a guy like Nas, man, you're not shooting the three ball well enough.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting 30%. Now, if he's shooting 40%, okay, maybe, but I'd rather have a dunk than a three-pointer, no matter who's shooting it, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked about this numerous times, right? This is a way that other teams, like good teams, will devour us when we play aggressive on the pick and roll, right? And it's the help here, if it comes from Nasir Little, it's just a one-on-two situation. Go to the rim. This should be a dunk, right?
Yeah.
The only way they can stop that being a dunk is if Tyus Jones doesn't come up so high and then Nurkic is going to be able to get to the rim. Or if somebody else comes over and helps on Nas and then Nurkic can kick to Norm. You know, if Norm's guy helps, then Nurkic can kick there. Now, maybe want a little bit more spacing between Dame, Rocco, Norm here. Obviously, Dame just came off the pick and roll, so it is a little cramped, but that's how you force teams to guard everyone. They don't have to guard Nas here. He's not a good enough shooter yet, right? So they can get away with leaving him open. So they can send two to Dame and have nobody on Nas and be just fine. If Nas is a cutter, now all of a sudden he's a phenomenal threat. And Nurkic has thrown this lob pass. He threw it in the past to Vonleh a couple times. You know, when Vonleh was a token starter, I've seen him throw it to Nance so far this year. So you gotta cut here if you're Nas. That should be absolutely a dunk. And that's the thing is we don't recognize situations in freelance that we need to. We need to learn how to play out of freelance because good defenses, pressure defenses can take us out of our sets. We have to be able to react well to that and make the right basketball play.
And let's say you're the opinion of you'd rather have a 3-point shot than a 2-point shot, right? Let's just roll with that theory, right?
Sure.
So even if Nurk passes to Nas here, Tyus Jones is close enough to both of them to where he can still recover and make that a not completely wide open shot. So if he cuts, then next time we get in this position, Tyus Jones might be worried about him cutting, so he might turn the other way instead, and then you get the open three. So whether it's Nas or someone else, and Nas having just made a dunk or whatever would probably have a greater chance of making the three if he's confident and had the ball go in his last shot. But like this is what happens. And then so he might have to come up, or maybe he stays on Nas and doesn't let him cut. But then Nurk can drive and maybe get past Adams here because Tyus isn't in the right spot. So it's like a trickle-down effect that leads to things. When you have one good thing happen, then it opens up the opportunity to do things. But our problem is we just do the same thing every time. So Tyus Jones, when he turns his back on Nas, knows Nas is still going to be there when he turns back to have to close out if he does pass there.
Yeah.
So we don't ever take advantage of these situations where we have this spot right now where Nurk is basically having two guys come to him, and they're so worried about Dame that we should be getting wide open shots for Nas and Norm and Rocco in these situations. And instead, we're letting the defense recover with ease or turning the ball over or doing something that we shouldn't be doing. And I just wish we would take advantage of them.
Yep, I agree. It's basic read and react basketball. That's all this is. The Blazers have to get better at it. And that's the thing is like throughout this game, man, Dame had it rolling. They were selling out to stop Dame. They were selling out to stop him. And, you know, through some sloppiness and then not making the right decisions when to cut, not making the right read on a couple of passes, we were able to let them slow down Dame and slow down our offense in the second half, right? Now we're fine because Norm hit shots, right? So I think we scored about the same, and we scored 4 points less. No, that's Memphis. We actually scored 3 points more in the second half, but a lot of it was Norm making some shots, offensive rebounds, you know, scrappiness and whatnot. It's like, if we learned how to read and react, I feel like offensively we could be really good. And that's why I'm like, not completely on board with a Ben Simmons, because it's like if you bring Ben Simmons into all this and guys don't make the right reads, where to pass, don't make the right cuts, don't look to move off the ball. When Ben Simmons doesn't have the ball or isn't involved in the pick and roll, what's his role in a half-court offense? Is he going to be sitting down on the block under the pick and roll? He's obviously not a spot-up guy, so, the more non-shooters we have on the court, it's been a bit troublesome because not only do we have Nance, Nas, Nurkic, but then Nas just sits behind the arc. Nance, I thought, too much this game was sitting behind the arc. Those guys got to cut when the opportunities are there. They're athletes. They're not shooters. So they got to play to their strengths. And overall, throughout the course of the season, Nance has been a solid cutter, but they're not doing a good enough job of it. So that's kind of the takeaway on the offense. It looks fine when Norm and Dame combined to shoot 19 for 35 from the field and 8 for 17 from 3. But these simple mistakes offensively could have resulted in us losing a game in which defensively we played really, really well. So still a lot to learn from this one. Obviously, the defense kind of carried us through this game, and I'm thrilled about that. But, it's still, I don't think it was a complete game. Despite it being our best road win, our best road performance, I don't think it was a complete game on both sides of the court.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on it. You want to thank the donos?
Yeah. Check Discord real quick too.
All right. I'll also check Discord.
So near 012, a $5 donation says, "Great win against a hot team and happy holidays, everyone." Yes. Happy holidays to you, near 012, and to everyone watching. Appreciate you all. And just good to get a win. Memphis has been really good, but we got the victory tonight.
Yep, appreciate you. There was one more.
Yeah, and then Dro with a $2 donation says, I just lost it. If Nas cuts, we are unstoppable on offense.
Yeah.
And,
or if he makes threes, if he could become a shooter, that'd be phenomenal. I would love that.
I don't know about unstoppable, but if we had the correct timing on cuts from a number of guys, we would be very difficult to stop. And they probably would have to, at some point, stop paying so much attention to Dame because it was just killing them. And then we could talk about Dame then making teams pay for that. And then we're fine. I'm fine with pick and roll and him isoing or, trying to get a big onto him and breaking the defense down that way. But not if they're going to pay so much attention to him. I don't like just running our same sets into that. And I mean, this is another thing that we've talked about since the beginning of Blazers Uprise that we do not like, is when we continue to try and run things that don't necessarily work against set defenses designed to pressure the ball, and we always seem to melt down with pressure. Luckily tonight we made just enough shots to make up for it, but overall 105 points probably isn't going to be good enough to win a lot of games against good teams.
Yep, agreed. Let's get into the player cards. We got Dame Dalla up first. First time Chris has used a nickname that is... Why is it switching? Why is it on Ben McLemore, man? I don't know what's going on. Hold up. Dame Dalla. There we go. Now you guys know who's last, unfortunately. But Dame Dalla, first time Chris has used a nickname that actually is a nickname, so shout out to Chris. We've talked about him quite a bit. The 5 turnovers you don't like to see, but the whole team was sloppy. He's back. You know what I mean? He finally looks fully comfortable. Even though he was clutching his abs, looked a little banged up, he still seemed comfortable. And he's hit a couple tough threes in this one. Now 3 for 9, 33%, that's not great by any means, but given the difficulty of some of the shots he hit, and then his burst getting to the rim, his ability to get inside the paint and finish, had a couple nice, quick, crafty finishes in this one, and got to the line a bunch. You love to see that. An efficient night for him, 32 on 19 field goals, even though he didn't shoot the 3 ball too great. You love to see that. Defensively, I thought he was competitive enough. Overall, very solid game.
Yeah, good, efficient game from Dame. Like to see the free throw numbers have been going up and up. He's consistently getting to the line now, which is good to see. Yeah, I don't know. Some of his turnovers, just like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? He lost the ball out of bounds, or he dribbled it
Mm.
off his foot, or whatever. Um, but yeah, so you like to see him because he is pretty good usually about taking care of the ball. So I guess you can't really say too much about it. But that was the only thing they think negative. Also, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the deep, deep three when we're, I don't know. Do you like it right now when he hasn't hit them all year?
Uh, I mean, there's so many things that go into the
Yeah.
situation, shot
Hmm.
clock situation, whether
Yeah.
we're able to generate good
I'm
shots
talking
in the
about the
half
ones
court.
like with like 20 or 18 to 20 seconds on the shot clock still.
I
He had one
mean,
tonight.
given how much we turned over the ball, I don't know, it's not our worst possession.
Hmm.
He, I, I trust him enough to just let him make that judgment
Yeah.
and live with it. You know what I mean? Like he's hit enough of them, and he's
Hmm.
not a guy that forces a ton of insanely difficult shots. Usually, he'll hit some difficult ones, but he's always been a efficient scorer. So I don't really question him most
Yeah.
of the time. Now, if he's missed his last couple and then pulls one with a hand in his face, yeah, I'm questioning it. But like if he's open, I don't mind him shooting from 30 feet.
I don't.
And that's the thing is like if he does make it, it's not just 3 points. It also
Oh,
will usually result in the defense being like, oh crap, we got to go and guard him on the pick and roll 30 feet away from the rim. And then he's able to blow by, get a layup or a wide open shot for somebody else. So, like, that's the thing is, everybody's going to guard him at the 3 point line. If he can make a 30-footer, defenses are going to react by getting even more stretched out. And then there's opportunities behind that. So that's why I've never really complained about that. In
mhm.
just,
I'm,
for the most part, I
yeah.
have no problem with it.
I'm not complaining. It's just this year in particular, it seems like they're not open. He always, because like he was being guarded pretty tight tonight, and I know he can make them. I know it's great, but um, usually it's when he catches the defense off guard and he has a little bit of separation and shoots it. But I just feel like all year we got lucky tonight. They missed an open three after it, but it's just another situation where he takes a deep three, misses, and all season it just seems like the other team then hits a three, and
Yeah.
we go from possibly being up four, I think in that case, to down two or whatever. So just it can also be a huge momentum break the other way if they get the rebound and head out. So I feel like I feel like his timing is a little bit off on those, like when to do it. I'm with you. I trust him to know that, but I just feel like he's kind of pressing it this year for some reason when it hasn't really worked out like it has in the past.
Yeah. I mean, anything can be a momentum
Hmm.
booster the other way, like a turnover. I mean,
Right.
any missed shot, So overall, I don't know. Yeah, I would just trust him. That's the thing is when you're an aggressive scorer, you're going to have bad shots. There's
Hmm.
no way you can be an aggressive scorer without shooting some bad shots. I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, like even guys like Kobe. I mean, he had a lot of times where early in a clock he'd shoot a contested fadeaway 18, 19 footer for two. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's like looked at as like the worst shot in basketball. Like everybody has some questionable shots if they're an aggressive scorer. So overall,
Well,
I can live with that.
the only thing that because if he just waits a few extra seconds, and I mean, I know the timing once again is kind of off with that because you got to shoot him shortly after you cross half court. But I feel like the ones this year, he doesn't really have rebounders in position either. So if like we talked about how that guy's waiting for him at the free throw line and not really guarding his man, if you give him enough time to get to the glass and then shoot it, then maybe we get an easy putback out of it. So that's the only thing I'd like to
I
see is
mean,
maybe some of the times just when he's getting so much attention, two or three guys, maybe. I mean, it might almost be a good strategy to wait for that second or third guy to come up too far, have the guys just crash the glass and just shoot that, and maybe you get a wide open lay-in or putback.
as a scorer, you don't want to thinking about like, oh, I should wait to shoot this and then shoot this so that people can get it if I miss.
But I'm not saying that. I'm saying like that would be a way to combat the defense giving you such tight coverage. And he had this whole second half, he was frustrated with the way Dylan Brooks was up in his face playing him and how they were guarding him. I would just say that would be a way to counteract that. Or not even like shoot it, just throw it up near the rim in that situation, and maybe we could get some easy alley-oops out of it too.
Yeah, but I mean, as a scorer, you're never thinking about like what could or should happen if I miss.
But he's not making them this year.
I know, but as a scorer, if you're thinking about a potential miss, you're gonna miss. You know what I mean? Like you need like shooter's confidence. A guy like Dame, I want him believing he's gonna make every shot. I don't want him thinking about, oh, what happens if I miss, right? So, I agree with the sentiment, but in terms of the mindset of a scorer like a Dame or a guy like a CJ or a guy like a Norm, I don't want them thinking about what could happen if they miss. So,
but that's not okay. Yeah,
I mean, right. Do you disagree with that? Do you disagree with like the mentality aspect of it?
No, mentality's cool, but if you like, I mean, he's taken probably 20 of those this year, and he hasn't hit any of them. Like, at some point,
he shot bad in general.
I know your mentality has to be that's my point. Is like, it's not happening this year. So at some point, do you just keep shooting them? Like, what if you just keep missing them every game? Or do you still have that mentality, or do you maybe say, oh, I can shoot them because I can make them. I have that mentality. I will start making these eventually. But for now, at least we have rebounders in position. I don't think that's like saying, oh, I'm not confident anymore because I have to have a rebounder in case I miss. I don't think you have to adjust it that way. I'm just saying I want to still take these. I'm going to still take these. But at least when I miss, I have a rebounder there or whatever, instead of just like potentially taking a bad shot in a close game and having it cost us the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want him approaching the game differently because he's been in a shooting slump to start the year.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying approach it differently. I'm just saying don't waste the possession. At least we have it. I don't know.
Yeah, but like you're talking about like him like being less aggressive?
No, I mean I'm saying, how is that less aggressive? He could drive to the hoop and get a foul and try to get to the line in those situations instead of taking a deep 3-2. Like, I don't think that's less aggressive. I think that's more aggressive, actually, if he doesn't take those. I think those long threes they've been a byproduct of him trying to avoid getting pressured and being aggressive, in my opinion.
Well, I trust his mind to know how to approach each situation. I don't know. I still don't think he should be thinking about offensive rebounders or where like his teammates are for an offensive rebound if he's trying to score. And overall, I don't know, like obviously I don't want him shooting bad shots, but I just don't want him to I just want him to try to have the same mentality he's always had that's always worked for him. You know what I mean? And stay aggressive, whether that's a drive, whether that he feels like, oh, I should shoot this 30-footer. There's going to be bad shots, but over the course of his career, his mentality has been good enough where he's still efficient and, still a good enough scorer. So I will trust that before saying he needs to maybe switch anything up, if that makes sense.
But there comes a point where if we're playing well enough and the offense is good enough, we don't necessarily need him to shoot that every game or try to go for the dagger. But there's going to be times where he can do it and it's perfect, and he'll probably, once again, it's like the CJ thing. I think if he passes or does more things out of certain situations, his efficiency would go up when he did shoot the ball. And I just feel like that's not saying don't like trying to change who you are as a player or anything. It's just maybe doing it more efficiently and being more aggressive instead of settling for those kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's all great in theory. It's just, I don't know. I mean, the mindset of an athlete is, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it from like his mindset of how he would go about doing that and like what the change in thought process would be for him.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm just like, what I don't know. Like, that's how I'm trying to think of it and approach it. Because that's the thing is like, oh, just shoot good shots, don't shoot bad shots. But it's not like I love that in theory, and I love that if that was the case. But if you're mentally like trying to be aggressive as a scorer, it's never going to manifest itself where you're just always taking good shots. You're going to think something is a good shot or try and be aggressive or try and make something happen, and in the end it probably wasn't the right decision, and that's the thing when you're shooting. Like, when you're being an aggressive scorer, you're going to shoot 20-25 times a game. There's going to be a couple of those shots where it's like, yeah, that's probably not a good shot, but that's just kind of where I go back to where I'm okay with those, because it's not like 5 out of his 18-20 shots are contested 30-footers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now if he starts shooting like a ton of them and isn't making any, and he's shooting more than ever before, then yeah, like then it has to be coached, has to make a change. I just think they're not often enough for me to really worry about them too much. And the threat of him doing it, even though he hasn't made any this year, like, there was a play where Steven Adams still came out 30 feet away from the rim to guard the pick and roll. So just the threat and the scare it puts in the defense, like, oh, we can't let this guy shoot even if he's at 30 feet. Even though he hasn't been good on them this year, he still has that reputation. So that's the thing. If he comes into a game and pulls up from 30 feet with confidence, like, yeah, I make these, defenses are going to be like, yeah, we got to guard him out there. Even though he missed that, defenses know he does that. He's known for that. So it just opens up a lot. I'm cool with it.
That goes back to my original point, though. Like, if he's going to get guarded at 30 feet, the whole point is to open up someone else's open, or someone should be able to get an offensive rebound if he does miss, because, like, if Nurk's being guarded by Steven Adams and he's out there guarding him 30 feet, he should be in better position to rebound. That was the only point I was trying to make.
Yeah,
and shot selection to me is different when you're talking about all your shots throughout the game and then shooting a 30-footer, with 2 minutes left in a close game or whatever it was.
I don't really know what the argument is here. I don't know.
Okay.
Because I don't disagree that was a bad shot.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm saying. I don't disagree that wasn't a shot that he necessarily should have shot. It's just like, he has the mindset, like, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to put this game to bed and I'm going to hit this shot, that supreme confidence and killer mentality. And sometimes it just manifests itself with a shot where it's like, oh, that's a questionable shot.
I guess, in my opinion, I'd rather, this is the whole thing about having him off ball, than get him an open 3 off ball. That would be a much better shot. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a completely different conversation. Yeah. We can agree on that all we want, It's, yeah. Beerus says Dame's mindset doesn't work.
Well, I think I just talked about this season, so.
I mean, he's been in a shooting slump. It's not his mindset that's not working this season. It's the fact that he's not making shots. Like, if he had never made shots in his career with his mindset, then yeah, okay, then he's shooting bad shots. His mindset's a problem. But his mindset has always worked for him. So if there's a small sample of 20 some odd games, I'm not going to look at that compared to years of evidence that his mindset works. So that's kind of where I lie, and that's the thing, is I think just maintaining that mindset that's always worked for him will get him back to playing like how he's always played. So I wouldn't say his mindset doesn't work and that he should just stop shooting threes and all that stuff that Beerus is saying.
That's not what I'm saying either.
Yeah. So we could agree on that. All right, let's move on to Norm Powell. Chris ditched the Santa Claus beard and hats and all of that. Chris, is not even Christmas yet. You're already just ditching the festive theme. We should have decked out like Christmas versions of all our graphics, but I think it's a little too late. I might only have one game until Christmas. We'll talk about that later. But Norm, 4 assists, 28 points, had a nice dump off late to Nurkic, which I liked. 5 turnovers, pretty turnover prone, just like the rest of the team. But made shots, man. I mean, he was loose with the ball early, and I felt like he was missing some passes early and was kind of, questionable early. He had a phenomenal second half. He was phenomenal in the third quarter, phenomenal down the stretch, and then ratcheted up defensively. And I'm sitting here like, we need this Norm all the freaking time. Okay? Yeah. The problem is he played differently today than he has for the past few games, right? So it's like I don't know, like he looks great, and I know my criticism of how Norm's been playing has been a hot topic. I'm criticizing him because, like, obviously he's not going to average 10 for 16 shooting throughout an entire season, but I'm critical of him in the previous few games because he can play like this, and when he brings energy on the defensive end, he's a good defender. Yeah. And he was a good defensive player tonight, and it was a big key in helping us hold Memphis to 100 points. That's why I'm critical of him when he's not. So, overall, fantastic game. We need this Norm more.
Yeah, I completely agree. Outside of the turnovers, I said this earlier, I thought this was one of his best games of the year. And, yeah, the only thing I didn't like was the ISO at the end of the third quarter where we had 20 seconds and we just let him dribble up and then he takes a fadeaway shot, but he gets fouled on it. But, like, I'd like to see us get a better shot than that with that much time on the clock. But outside of that, most of his threes were off kickouts. I felt like he did a really good job of navigating some of his drives. It helped that Jaren Jackson was in foul trouble and couldn't really contest a lot of them or was out of the game. But he had a couple of really nice finishes in traffic where he laid the ball in, and just a good mix of threes and drives, I thought, from this game.
Yep, agreed. As I said earlier, his energy defensively just needs to be independent from if he's making shots or not, and I feel like it's not. So,
yeah.
Overall, though, he stepped up big and really helped us win this game.
You mentioned the 10 for 16, though. I mean, there's been points in his career where he's one of the more efficient guards in the NBA, though. So I think, not to expect 10 of 16 every time, but he has put up numbers for almost whole seasons that are similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, and he's still been efficient, and I've never said he's not an efficient scorer. It's just when he's the number 2 guy, his efficiency hasn't been the best with CJ out. So that's what I've been critical of. Obviously, that wasn't the case tonight. But we need him. We need him to be efficient. We need him to play defense. That's really the only 2 things we need. Sure, it'd be nice if he could make plays for others more, but like with CJ in the lineup, or if we trade for another shot creator, we don't necessarily need Norm to do that at a high level. We just need him to play defense and be efficient, be a 3-and-D guy who can attack the rim, right? And the problem is just that hasn't been super efficient with CJ out and hasn't been good defensively. Tonight, that absolutely wasn't the case, so I loved it. That's what I need from him. This is what the team needs from him.
Scott and Adam bring up good points. Only 35 minutes instead of 40. I think that helps him a little bit too.
I mean, but like his first 35 minutes of previous games were much worse than this 35 minutes.
No, I agree. So. I'm just saying, like, there's been a lot of times where he does not get a long rest, and that it seems like he's a little tired because he's rushed back into the game, or he comes back in the second quarter after only sitting for a minute or two. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if he's playing 40 compared to 35, that's an extra 2 minutes of less rest each half. I don't know. It's more. I think it's more than that. But
I'm not saying. I didn't say that was the reason. I'm just saying it helps probably when he's playing with energy to also not have to lose energy by the end of the game. And then he made some big plays at the end of this game. There's been a lot of times since he's become a Blazer over this last year where he's missed a lot of shots in the fourth quarter, and most of those games were because he played big minutes. So tonight he hits a bunch of big shots, and I think it helped that he was not quite as taxed as he normally would be.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the case. He needs to have more energy regardless when he's not making shots, because we've seen him slack in first halves in games where he hasn't played a lot, and a lot of times it seems to coincide with him not making shots. So, yeah, that's definitely a part. Fatigue obviously will zap your energy. I don't disagree with that. Let's move on and talk about Robert Covington. 13 points. I mean, he's been better off the bench. On ball, he was a little better closing out, just being solid, not biting on pump fakes, not running guys off the line that he shouldn't be. Overall, I mean, he rebounded the ball well today. 4 blocked shots as well. Was a really good help side defender. There's a couple situations where a Memphis player would drive against his defender. his defender, whether it's Nas, I think one of the times it was Nurkic, just stayed in front of him and slowed him down. It gave Robert Covington time to kind of creep up behind him, get a blocked shot, make a difference at the rim. So overall, man, you look at his defense in this game and his 3-point shooting, and then had a couple cuts. I mean, this was probably the best complete game that Robert Covington's played in a while. He had that big game against Indiana where he hit threes, but just with the defensive end, and then, acting like one cut is a big deal, but when we don't cut, that cut was a big deal to me. Overall,
the reason why it was a big deal is Dame has a great drive, but he's got nowhere to go if Rocco's not there. And he's there, he dumps it off, it's an assist and an easy basket because he cut. And if he stayed in the corner, I think they had it covered to where Dame probably turns the ball over if he didn't. So great. Yeah, that might seem like an insignificant one play, but Covington, I have to give him credit. He's doing that better. He's been trying to attack a little bit more. Yeah. And he also, got to give him credit. He seemingly has responded to going to the bench. And, he's the type of guy who was having some issues, maybe with energy. There was some talk maybe he wasn't buying into the system, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to see a guy still stay locked in and bring it, even though you get moved to the bench. So kudos to him for actually using this as a way to respond. And how many times did we talk about that earlier in the season, where if you start holding people accountable, it's the response to that, not the it's not getting benched. It's how you respond to getting taken out of the game or not starting or whatever it is. And I feel like for the most part, Covington has responded about as well as he's capable of doing so far.
Yep, agreed. Let's move on and talk about Nasir Little. He was a presence today. Would love some threes to fall, but 4 for 6 from the field, 9 rebounds. He had 4 offensive boards. 4 for 6 from 2, 0 for 2 from 3, 4 for 8 from the field. Made 4 of his 5 free throws, got to the line. He's been getting to the line a bunch. Had 4 offensive rebounds, and then he had 3 assists at halftime, finished with 3 assists, but becoming a little bit more of a playmaker, and that's the thing is he, as a slasher, and as athletic as he is, when you're that type of threat, you're going to see a secondary defender come over and try and help a lot of times. So it's nice that he's making better reads than he was earlier this year on when to maybe kick out of that. Had a steal, had 2 blocks. Overall, just a very solid all-around game. Also had that finish, that quick pound dribble over the top to that left foot, left-handed finish. That's the move I wanted Trendon Watford to score on, right? You know that play where Watford did that same move perfectly, had that layup, and tried to pass it back to Dame, and it was a bad turnover. I don't know if this is something they're coaching, because saw Watford do it, saw Nas do it. That might be something that they're kind of coaching the guys to do in transition, which is a really good move. It's really hard to stop. It was nice to see Nas he got an and one on that, right? It was a good move.
And one on that one, and then he had a couple plays later, he had a steal and a breakout dunk, which is nice to see. I think I was really solid overall game from Nas tonight.
Yep. Let me just say this is kind of unrelated to anybody saying Ja wasn't playing tonight. They've played really well without Ja. They've played.
They've only lost one game, haven't they?
Yeah, they've only lost one game without Ja.
They've won 5 in a row.
They've been a really good team, so shouldn't downplay this. Obviously, they're not better without Ja. They're probably overachieving a little bit, but still a good win nonetheless. I don't know if Alex was meaning it like that, but
also, we haven't really said like, oh, we're on a roll, we're back, maybe we're gonna win the championship now. Like, it's not how we're approaching this win either. So be kind of weird if people are in here like, don't get too excited about it. It's only Memphis without Ja.
Yeah. We'll get to the latest dono after the player cards. Let's move on to Anthony, who struggled to shoot the ball tonight. He's streaky from game to game.
It's either good or bad.
It's either really good or really bad. So, I mean, if he made some shots, it would have been phenomenal. He got some solid looks. It would have been a much easier win had he, knocked down a couple threes. But I don't know. I don't really have a problem with how he played. 2 assists, 2 turnovers. I don't really remember his assists. Had a couple good drives and finishes. Got to the line 5 times, which is a good number in 21 minutes. To get to the line 5 times for Ant is good. That helped him have a little bit more efficient of a night.
Yeah, I like that. Like you said, the 2 drives he had. The one he missed right before he finished one, Billups told him that it was a good move. Like, just do that again next time, and then he does it again and gets an and one. So I like that he attacked even though he had just missed. But on some of those, it's the same thing with Nas. I feel like if you just go at the rim like you're trying to catch a body, I feel like you're either going to get fouled or you're going to eventually just pack it on someone. And Ant did it earlier in the season. I think it might have been against the Clippers or something, where he did throw down a monster dunk on someone. I thought the one he missed in between those 2 finishes he had was an opportunity where if he just goes right at the rim, he's either going to end someone or pack it and or get fouled. And so I'd like to see him just be a little more aggressive, especially with how I'd say the same thing with Nance and the same thing with Nas. Like, we have these high flyers. Like, if you're in the game and you have a drive to the hoop, instead of trying to flip it up or trying to touch it, like use your touch to score, just attack the rim, man, and go right at it and make the defense have to either foul you or get ended.
Yeah, agree with that. We got Yusuf. Oh, Krish, I am mad at you. I am mad at Krish for this one, but I mean, with 7 turnovers, I get it, I guess. He rebounded well, 11 rebounds in 34 minutes, 1 assist, 7 turnovers, 4 for 10 from the field. This was not a good game for Nurkic.
No.
Not just he was not he wasn't making the right reads. He tried to force passes that weren't there. I don't know, like, he missed a couple shots. Right, outside of the turnovers and the fact that he missed a couple shots, I think it was a completely fine game. I thought he defended well in this one, and 4 for 9 from 2. That's not efficient, but it's not like it's terrible. At this point, I don't know if I want him shooting threes. He just hasn't made them at a high enough clip. The turnovers were just kind of the biggest thing that had people frustrated in this one, and justifiably so. Definitely was loose with the ball today.
Yeah, I didn't like his body language tonight. Just seemed kind of casual and never really felt completely into this one, and it showed with the sloppiness.
Yeah. Beavis says he doesn't think he defended well. I don't know how we hold a team to 100. Memphis, Nurkic plays 34 minutes and doesn't play at least solid defense, because back line of our defense has to play up at the point of the screen. I mean, it was a collective effort for sure. I don't think any one guy struggled defensively today. I think he was solid, but has to be better with the ball. I don't know. This is a team that has a lot of size, so that might have been one of the reasons why he struggled a little bit. They got Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 4 and then Steven Adams at the 5. And Adams is a really good low post defender, so it wasn't necessarily the best matchup for him. But he has to hit corner a lot of times when Dame back cuts, because the guy from the corner will just completely help on to Dame. And there was one possession where he threw it right to that guy and could have just zipped it to the corner. The problem was Larry Nance Jr. was in the corner, and he's wide open from 3. Larry Nance Jr. just has struggled from 3 this year, especially from the corner. He has to start making shots, and that was kind of the problem, is like, he would force a pass to Dame a couple times. It'd be a turnover, but his other option is a guy who has just been horrible from corner 3s, spotting up for a corner 3-pointer. You know what I mean? So a loss. I think we can learn from that situation. When Dame back cuts and guys help from the corner, I want Nance to cut there, and maybe that's a backdoor lob or something. You know what I mean? Like, try and figure out something else than just having non-shooters next to Nurkic and those guys helping on Dame back cuts, and then Nurkic making the wrong read and trying to force the pass. It was just kind of a recipe for some disaster there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I feel like Nurk just needs to be. I mean, he needs to find a way to recognize when he doesn't have it or when he doesn't have the right, you know, movements or thought process in a game, and just get out of that funk. Um, I thought this was the one of the worst games in terms of just him kind of running around out there.
Is that another Westbrook reference?
No.
That's the classic Westbrook quote,
Yeah.
man. You just tied it all together on accident. The all I'm doing is running around out here.
No, that was a Nurkic quote.
Was it? No, it was that's a Westbrook. All I'm doing is running around out. No, there was a
Nurkic had that same.
Yeah,
quote
I know what
earlier
you're
in
thinking
the
of
game.
actually. But Westbrook had a quote like that, I think, in the bubble, and basically just said he's just running around out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he had a tough game, and every time Nurkic has a bad game, you always have every take like he wants out.
Yeah,
This game is just proof he wants out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think this game means he wants out. Near012 says he donated. We read off your dono, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we read off his dono. But he wished everybody a happy holidays.
Yeah.
So we'll read it off again.
I wished him a happy holidays back, and then wished everyone a happy holidays as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
Oh no! I'm misreading. Henry Hall says, "Bro, I'm the only one who's donated. Come on, y'all." Oh, that's what he was responding to. Okay, I was confused. We're gonna read Henry's after this because he has a kind of unrelated to individual players, kind of a team-based thing that we'll talk about for a second. Let's move on. Larry 2x5 because he had 2 points, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Kind of ruined it with 11 rebounds, but I mean, very quiet today. I don't know. He's better when there's 4 guys that can shoot around him.
Yeah.
And the problem is right now in the starting lineup, there's only 2 guys that can shoot around him.
Mm-hmm.
He did have a nice feed to Lillard on a backdoor cut. I felt like with Nurkic kind of struggling, maybe Nance should have been put in that role to maybe make some of those reads. Kind of maybe switch things up there, but
that reminded me. There was one time Nas cut in this game on Tyus Jones, and he was open, and Nance missed him. So yeah, I guess Nas
he was probably
cut.
so surprised he didn't know what to do.
Yeah, he was. He kind of like, I think he was thinking about it, but then he was like, eh. But that's something we didn't talk about with Nas, just real quick, is they put Tyus Jones on him this whole game when they were in, and that's another thing we can't let. That happened with like Batum when we had like Brandon Roy and stuff. Like they would put Steve Nash on Batum, and we had no way of like taking advantage of that. So with how good Nas has been at getting to the rim and his mid-range game right now, I almost want to give him a few post-ups in that situation and just let him see if he can get an easy bucket on a shorter player.
Yeah, or just, I mean, something as simple as if the ball's on one side of the court, have Nas on the opposite elbow, go and have Nurkic set a back screen, right? Maybe you want Nas a little bit higher, I don't know. But try and set a back screen for him, right? If they don't switch, then, you know, the problem is the big guy can help. But if they don't switch, like, you can easily throw the ball over Tyus Jones to Nasir Little. You can easily throw a lob over Tyus Jones. So try and get Nas in that situation. It could be, I don't know exactly how you could do it. But then if they switch, you have Nurkic set that back screen for Nas, and then if they switch, you got Tyus Jones on Nurkic. Right? And then you post up Nurkic, and he'll probably have a lot more success than trying to post up Steven Adams. So that's the thing is you got to try and exploit that sort of mismatch in a way that either you get Nas a dunk, or maybe Nas is such a threat as a lob target that you force them to switch, and now you even have more of a matchup advantage with Tyus Jones on a bigger guy that can post them up, you know? So throw that type of stuff in there. The problem is we don't really throw in specific play designs based on how we're guarded, and that's something that I've also had a problem with.
Yeah, you said something in there. You said you could still throw it even if Tyus Jones is on him. And I was thinking that exact same thing during the game. It's like, if you throw a lob to Nas, even if Tyus Jones is in position, what is he going to do?
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to jump up and block it. He's
Yep.
going to either foul or Nas is going to just jump over him and dunk it, right? So
Yeah.
that I'd like to see that. Just even if it's not there, if you have Tyus Jones on him, just run a cut with Nas and just throw it up there and let him.
Yeah.
Let him see if he can do something with it.
The problem is with Nance and Nurkic next to him, like those guys, defenders can maybe sag in and take that away or contest that at the rim, what may have you. So I think the starting lineup is intriguing and it's good defensively, the starting lineup that we have right now, but there's not enough shooting at the moment. So
although I think Memphis had like 14 points in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, at least it's not 140 points in an entire game. I'll take 14 points in 3 minutes, given how we've defended. So that just makes the rest of the game even more impressive, Eric.
Yeah, that's true.
That means 86.
Because they were on pace for like 192 points at one point.
yeah. Early on, they like from the middle part of the first quarter, the rest of the game, it was really impressive. So shout out to Larry Nance. Last guy, Ben Cardio McLemore got some. I mean, hey, he scored 28 last game. I'm cool with him having some cardio. And honestly, I thought he was solid defensively, like staying in front of guys and just not making mistakes because he's not a good defensive player. So he was competitive enough out there. Didn't really force shots. I felt like he could have forced some threes, especially coming off a game where he was just on fire and had 28. He could have just jacked it and tried to continue that hot streak into this game, and he didn't. So, like, I know you look at the stat sheet, and it's like all zeros except for a foul and 2 rebounds in 15 minutes, but he didn't make mistakes, and he just, like, given the situations he was in, he did the most with them. You know, he missed a couple threes, but that'll happen for a shooter like them, and they were good shot attempts. You'll live with that. And, I mean, he was a plus 13 despite doing nothing in the 15 minutes he was on the court, so.
Yeah. Keep that same energy next Snell game. I'm just kidding.
Has Snell been a plus 13 in 15 minutes this year?
Remember all those games you were like talking crap, but then you were like, oh, I guess he was a plus 12 or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't just because he missed a couple threes. It was like defensive stuff.
I'm just messing with you. I was a joke.
I mean,
but like there was a definite part of this game, jokes aside, that they were worried about McLemore coming off screens, and once again, defense pays attention to that, finds some way, but this is the problem. And this is another thing that I noticed throughout this game. When we run a pick and roll, when we run some sort of action off ball for McLemore, the only players moving are the ones involved in whatever action is going on. The other players are just like, oh, well, it's a pick and roll with Nurk and Dame. Oh, it's a off ball screen for McLemore on the other side of the court. Like, this is the next evolution. Like, yes, it's good to do those things, but the really good teams have everyone moving, and it's like, oh, well, if he's coming off this screen this way, I need to cut this way or move over to this spot so he has the angle to kick out or whatever. But I just feel like there's too much standing around watching still on the opposite side of the court where the action's not going on. But definitely something you can exploit if we ever figure out how to exploit it.
Yep. That's the thing, is having good spacing on the court is important. Just it makes everything easier for the rest of the roster. Anyway, that is the player cards. Let me thank Henry Halls.
Thank you for your patience, Henry.
$5 donor says, can we talk about how, like, the last 7 years, other than ET, we haven't really had a player who throws good entry passes, hurts our flow a lot in the half court. What do you think about that, Eric?
Actually, when Dennis Smith Jr. was getting minutes, I felt like he was doing a good job of throwing entry passes. I don't feel like that's something that is that hard, which always bugs me, because I feel like if we just had, which leads me to believe that we're not looking for it, like that's not part of our offense, or they're not supposed to, because I feel like they are throwing the entry passes when like we have a design play to post up Nurk, but outside of that, we don't really ever do that. So
it drives me crazy, because we had my junior year, we had a senior big who was 6'8", our school's all-time leading scorer. Could have went to Eastern Washington, decided to go D2. So much of our offense was like just getting him the ball in the post. So we worked so much on entry passes, dude. Like and everybody knew how to throw an entry pass. Like, we were legitimate. Like, we threw better entry passes than the Blazers do, I swear, man. And it's just fake high, right? Fake high and then bounce pass, right? If you fake high, they get their hands up, easy, wrap around bounce pass, right? If you fake high and they just kind of like sit there like they don't react to it, you fake high, then you throw it, right? Because they're not reacting to it. They're probably not going to be ready. And that's the thing. Whenever you fake high, you're going to bring them out of a stance, so they're going to be more straight-legged, not as easy to jump, right? But, like, even if they're expecting it low, like, pivot in front and wrap around. You know what I mean? A lot of times it's just like, we just kind of, like, sit here and try and throw it from here. And that's not how you throw a good entry pass. If there's ball pressure, you can't just sit here and try and throw it from here, and you got to pivot, you got to use your body, you got to fake a pass, make a pass. That's what we called it. We got to learn how to throw better entry passes. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
So, anyway.
But honestly, Nance should be able to throw an entry pass easily. But we don't really put him in positions to.
Yeah, I guess you don't really want his guy like completely leaving him after he makes the pass to double down.
But if he's at the right, like let's say he's on the wing, you pass into Nurk and you immediately dive to the basket, then Nurk is strong enough with the ball if he waits to either let his guy clear, or if his guy does not go with Nance and clear out, then Nance just stops right at the basket and Nurk dumps it over the top to him for a lay-in. So I would like to see more action between them. We've seen the high and low the other way where Nurk has the ball and Nance cuts or seals his guy and Nurk finds him. So I think you could do it either way with those two.
Yep. Agreed. Let's get into... I don't have it ready yet. If you want to read off a couple things in chat. It's tough with the early games for around the NBA, updating game scores, because obviously there's still games going on right now, which is rare. What do you think about the 3 p.m. start time on a Sunday, Eric? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's a little weird, but I didn't really have anything going on today, so I didn't mind it. Yeah, but overall, it's like, it's hard. But on a weekend, I don't really mind it.
I would rather have it earlier or later.
Yeah.
3 p.m. is like the worst.
I'll tell you this. I'm not looking forward to playing late on a Friday night on New Year's Eve.
I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't even be doing anything for New Year's Eve anyway, so I don't
No, not that I'm doing anything, but I mean, outside of that being the most important and busiest day of the year at my store for work, but outside of that, I'm not doing much, but it's just kind of like most people who would, watch the Blazers or watch the show probably.
That's what I'm wondering is what are our views going to be like on New Year's Eve when our stream starts at 10 p.m. because they're playing at 7:30. It is against the Lakers, so that might help. We might get some Laker trolls in here telling us how bad we suck if they win. They won't say anything if they lose. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how that stream goes. But yeah, I don't like the 3 p.m., 4 p.m. start times. In case, I don't know, like I do Uber Eats and DoorDash, right? So it's okay maybe on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but on a Sunday, from like 4:30 to 9 is when the money's made, right? Because it's not consistent. You'd like... In case anybody lives under a rock doesn't know how it works. I mean, even if you don't live under a rock, maybe you don't know how exactly it works, but we get paid per delivery. So there's a lot of double deliveries on a Sunday. People tip better on a Sunday. It's just overall, I enjoy working from like 4:30 to 9 p.m. on a Sunday, but that's why we've been going through the stream a little bit faster. That's what I'm going to do right after that. We do have a stream tomorrow.
Bordan Gets Paid says, we have no lives either, so no worries.
I got you. We can all hang out together. We can even, I don't know, should we go up until midnight on the stream?
I probably will get murdered if I did that, so probably not for me, but more power to you if you want to.
If you're not going to join me, then I ain't going to do it. That'll be a quick stream. I'll be like an hour and a half stream. It kind of sucks that like if we beat the Lakers, that's usually a stream we'd go long for, but it's New Year's Eve. Unfortunate. Let's go around the NBA with 6 games tonight. The Heat lose to the Pistons. Here's the thing with all these games. There are so many players in COVID protocols. I have to look at every box score just because I don't know who's playing. Let's see if there's anybody we don't recognize. For the Pistons would be the team to have them. The Pistons, I recognize all of them. They haven't really been hit with the COVID issues, so that probably explains the win tonight. Sadiq Bey, your guy, Eric, 26 points on 7 for 13 shooting, 9 for 10 from the free throw line. I said 9 for 6. That'd be phenomenal efficiency. Your guy has a big game. Kate Cunningham, 31 minutes, only 4 points, but 10 assists. Pretty quiet night from him, though. Hamidou Diallo, 7 for 10 shooting in 30 minutes, 15 points. He got the start as well. For the Heat, I recognize all of them, and I'm bummed out. They didn't have Butler. They didn't have Bam. They had Lowry, though. Pretty much had everybody else, it seems like. Max Strus, once again, a big night off the bench, 34 minutes, 24.7 for 16 shooting. So he's really stepped up as of late as kind of an unheralded guy. You then got the Blazers taking care of the Grizzlies. You got the Kings taking care of the Spurs. The Spurs haven't really had any COVID issues as well. So Portland's in that boat along with like San Antonio and Detroit for the most part.
I think Utah's the other team as well.
Yeah, Utah. So it's very rare. Like almost every team is dealing with this. Luckily, we haven't had to. Knock on wood. Hopefully, we don't have to. The Spurs fall to the Kings, though. De'Aaron Fox didn't play in this one, but Buddy Hield had 29 points. Halliburton, 27. Damian Jones off the bench, Eric. 19 minutes, 23 points, 9 for 15 from the field, and 2 for 2 from 3. So, has he... I thought he was a non-shooter.
I don't know. Something must have gotten into him tonight. Maybe since they have half their team missing, he was just like letting it fly.
Yeah, full green light, man. It does wonders. But they have Justin Robinson coming off the bench. I recognize him, unfortunately. Mo Harkless played 32 minutes, 4 points. Former Blazer watch. We still got games going on, though. The Bulls versus Lakers, it was 96-94. Obviously, we can't update these graphics as we go. It's now 104-103. Lakers over the Bulls. LeBron has 27. AD is out for a month, so they're missing him. Westbrook almost has another triple-double. I'm sure his teammates will get out of the way for him so that he can get it, just like Fred VanVleet says. If you missed that post-game quote, that's a funny one. Carmelo, former Blazer watch, 5 for 11 from 3, 7 for 16 from the field. He has 21 off the bench. He also has 2 steals and 2 blocks, Eric.
Nice.
So, yeah, turn back the... I mean, that's not even a turn back the clock game because he's never played defense, so good for Melo. For the Bulls, they got DeRozan back. He had 30. Vucevic is playing. They're still without Zach LaVine. They got... Who's this guy? Marko Simonovic. Is that somebody that's been on their team? Am I just behind the times, Eric? Do you recognize that name?
What team?
Bulls. Marko Simonovic.
I know they picked up some people.
Never heard of him. I don't know where he came from. I think he's a new ad. Yeah, I think he's a new ad. So never heard of him. I don't know where he's from, but there's another name. Haven't heard. Actually, his name seems a little bit familiar, but I don't know. I'll count it. Other games, you got the Suns just devouring the Charlotte Hornets right now. Actually, this game has gone final. The Suns win 137-106. They're 24-5. They have won 23 out of their last 25 games. Devin Booker returned tonight. Mikal Bridges... No, that's Miles Bridges. It was the Battle of the Bridges tonight. Miles had 26 in the loss. Mikal 15. There was 9 players in double figures for the Phoenix Suns. So a pretty fun game for the Valley podcast, guys. I'd get, I wonder if they're bored with all the blowout wins. Gabe's more... I like watching Gabe when things are tight. It's pure entertainment. Only other game we got is Minnesota versus Dallas. This game is 103 Timberwolves, 97 Mavericks with 3:34 left. Tim Hardaway Jr. 26, Cat 21. These are two other teams that haven't really been dealt a tough COVID protocol hand. Timberwolves have a few guys. Yeah, but they got Towns, they got Russell. Anthony Edwards is in protocols right now, if I recall correctly. Maverick's been playing without Luka Doncic.
Yeah. Do you know Ja'Cory McLaughlin in this game?
Ja'Cory, yeah, he played at UC Santa Barbara?
Yes.
Let's go. See, I'm a nerd, man.
I only know him because he was at Oregon State for a little bit, too.
Oh, was he? Is he related to Jordan McLaughlin?
I don't know.
I wonder if he... Let me look at him. He looks like he might be related to Jordan McLaughlin. I don't know, though. Because Jordan McLaughlin's on the Timberwolves. So we got the battle of the Bridges, whose names start with M, and then we got the battle of the McLaughlins with Mavs, Timberwolves, McLaughlin, whose name starts with J. Dude, it's getting crazy. If they're not related, that's just another combination of players that like isn't related. You got like Trey and Terrence Mann aren't related. You got Bogdan and Bojan Bogdanovic aren't related. The Bridges is a lot of players that you would think would be related based off their names that aren't. And then you got all the Jay Greens. There's like a million of those. So anyway, those are the scores. Let's look at the standings. It's more fun to look at this because we're winning games, Irk.
I guess.
We're still not... We're tied for 10th right now. Sacramento has a tiebreaker. Obviously, they beat us twice. But we're only 2.5 games out of 8th. That's Dallas right now. If Dallas loses, then Minnesota will be 8th at 15-15. So that's a battle for the 8th seed right there. We are only... let's see. If the Lakers lose, we'll only be 3 games back of them for 6th. So, hoping that the Bulls take care of the Lakers. Is now tied at 107 with 2:24 remaining. I mean, we're still right there in terms of battling for a 5th or a 6th seed. It helps beating Memphis. We're now only 6 games back of them. We would have been 8 back of 4th if we lost. So this was an important game to get. Also, decides the tiebreaker for now as we lead the season series 2-1. Any other thoughts on this, Eric?
I mean, it's weird. We're 3 games out of last, and we're 3.5 out of 5th. So, this is what Dane was talking about when he said we're not going to fold. We're still right there with a bunch of other teams. You don't want to lose 7 in a row, but hopefully they can make up for that by winning some of these games. And I'll save my next comment for the upcoming games slide.
Yep. First, let's look at the Eastern Conference standings. The East is like a bowl of soup, man. You just got a bunch of teams kind of evenly spread out, but still relatively close. Indiana is tied with us right now, and they're 13th in the East, so that's where we would be. You got 2 bottom feeders there with Orlando and Detroit. Washington, it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to fall, and if they do, if maybe Bradley Beal finally becomes available. It's going to be interesting to see Boston. If they continue to struggle, then Jaylen Brown is a name. Same with Toronto with Pascal Siakam. The more Philadelphia struggles, the more Daryl Morey might finally stop being stingy and decide, oh, you know what, we need something that can manifest itself on the court for Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons ain't going to play. And then you got, Brooklyn is first, but, Chicago's in a tight game with LA. Brooklyn has a ton of COVID issues. Let's talk about that in the upcoming games. First, Eric.
Wait, Cleveland. Gotta mention Cleveland.
Oh, dude, how could I forget my team, man? How could
they
I
are the
Cleveland?
3rd seed. They passed the Bucks, dude.
They're
tied for 2nd right now, and Chicago's going to lose, so they're going to be in 2nd if Chicago loses to the Lakers.
Oof. Dude, I should have. LeBron's going back to Cleveland. You heard it here first. He's going to request a trade at the deadline. Bro, the Cavs are better than the Lakers. Like, based on, even if everybody's healthy, like right now, given what I've seen this season, I can't say that LeBron's Laker team is better than the Cavs, which is funny because the Cavs always sucked without LeBron, right? Since he left for the Lakers and when he played for the Heat, they've always sucked. They finally have figured out how to build without him. So shout out to Cleveland, man. Cleveland was kind of my Cinderella dark horse before the year. And Gut was right, but I still picked them to finish 13th, so I can't take full credit.
You could say the same thing about Larry Nance getting wanting out to go
Oh,
to a.
don't. Why you gotta go
He
there,
wanted to go to a
man?
contender, and now his old team is really good.
So
So,
you're just telling me that like Larry Nance is a losing player, huh?
no, it's not his fault. And honestly, he probably wouldn't have played that much with, and except for the times when Mobley and
Yeah, they got a lot of
Allen were out.
bigs.
But yeah,
Yeah, Jared Allen's been phenomenal. Mobley's the rookie of the year so far, I think, just because of what he's done on the defensive end. And Mobley like turned. Here's the thing that needs to be considered with rookie of the year. If you can come in as a rookie and take a team that's like a bottom feeder and help them win,
hmm
that matters to me,
yep.
right? Like if Jalen Green was putting up phenomenal stats in Houston, but they're sitting where they are, I would take what Evan Mobley has done just because he's influenced winning. He's taken a team that has been a lotto team, not even close to making the playoffs. They're 19-12 right now. So shout out to Cleveland. Great story. Every year there's always a team that comes out of nowhere and surprises everyone. Last year it was New York, and obviously they're struggling now. This year it's Cleveland. So good to see. Let's move on and talk about one of those teams that everybody always expected to come out of nowhere. That's how you knew they weren't going to, because people expected it. That's New Orleans. They're still without Zion.
Yep.
Who knows if Zion will even play this year? Zion's just
Another setback. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, no, you got some talent on that team, but that's a road game that like we've won 2 in a row, Eric. If we can, after losing 7 in a row, we beat. Who did we even beat last game?
we beat the Hornets.
Oh yeah, it was the Hornets. Why did I completely forget it was the Hornets? Yeah, we beat the Hornets, which is a solid team, and then beat Memphis on the road, a team that had been playing well. You take care of business with New Orleans. That's a really good bounce back from losing 7 straight, and that's a testament to what Dame said. Not gonna fold. This would be a letdown if we lost this game, man. This would be very disappointing. So hopefully we can take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, let's just play this out. Like we should win New Orleans, right? That should be a game you win. If that Nets game actually happens, though, they canceled their 2 games leading up to that. But if they don't have KD, Harden, or Kyrie for that one, and we're playing the G League Nets, that should be a win.
Yep.
The Mavericks have. I don't know if
Luka.
Luka's going to be back for that game or not. He might be back by then, but he's out like at least a week, I think. So you should be able to take care of that one at home. And then it goes, so that's 3 in a row where all of a sudden we're talking about maybe being 16-18 and having a chance in early January to get back towards 500.
Yeah. I mean, if we win the next 3 games, we're sitting at 16-18, right? Not 500, but I mean, bouncing back by the end of July. My goal was for them to be 20-16 at or not the end of July. What am I talking about? The end of December. Where did I get July from?
I don't know, bro.
Anyway, yeah, so you got a chance here to kind of claw back to 500. My goal for them at the end of December was to be 20-16. So if they can, I don't know, be 17-19, that'd be great. Win 4 of these next 5 games. That's the goal, in my opinion. Hopefully that Brooklyn game happens, because it will likely be the G League Nets. Kevin Durant won't play. Kyrie won't play, right? I don't know exactly how it goes. Sometimes if you get COVID, you have to sit out 10 days, correct? Like a max 10 days or a minimum of 10 days?
I think as in Kyrie's case, he would absolutely have to sit out 10 days, but I don't.
Yeah,
I think if you get 2 negative tests, you can get out of the protocols, but I don't know how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, KD's in protocols. Harden is in protocols too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got a bunch of players that are missing. Aldridge's return game to Portland probably won't happen. Might be the last chance to see him, which kind of sucks. I wanted to go to that game, but if they're going to play a G League team, I won't go to the game and I'll just take the win, hopefully. But that's the thing. If that game's canceled, we have, 5 days off?
Yeah, be nice.
22nd through the 26th,
Christmas.
over Christmas too. So, that things are shaping up pretty nicely over the next 3 games, in my opinion. And then look at that New Year's stream against the Los Angeles Lakers, who are apparently 16-4. that Lakers game, by the way, the Lakers lost.
The Lakers lost. It's over.
So Cleveland's not number 2, but I wanted Chicago to win. LeBron's 31 points can't get the job done. 14 boards, 6 assists. Not good enough, though. So the Lakers are 16-15. right now after this one. That is around the NBA. Is Ingram playing right now? Ingram's playing, right?
He has been, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody else, it seems like New Orleans has been one of the teams that have fared better with all these COVID protocols popping up. Shams and Woj have been busy. This is like a free agency, like the first day of free agency. It's for the past 4 days. They're just constantly tweeting out player names.
Opposite the side of the corner.
There's the good old ESPN clip that hasn't played in like a number of streams. So anyway, I don't know. Anything else you want to say, Eric?
No, if people have more general questions or trade questions, we'll have our show tomorrow on Blazers Uprise Live. We'll answer questions there.
Link in the description. I'll post it in chat too.
And hope to have everyone watch that show. Should be a fun one. And then we'll be back Tuesday night for the post-game show.
Yep. That is the plan. So join us tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time for Blazers Uprise Live. Thank you to everybody who donated, Near012, Dro, and Henry Hall. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. And with that, that's a wrap. Shorter post-game show, early show on a Sunday, but we will be back again tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, actually Tuesday's going to be a problem, Eric. Tuesday we're going to have to figure something out because I have a rec league playoff game at 6 or 7. So...
And the game starts at 5. So
yeah, I don't know exactly when we play. So hopefully we play at 6.
I think we play at 5.
No, I mean hopefully my rec league team plays at 6.
Yeah.
All right. So if we play at 6, then I could make it for the start of the post game stream. If not, I don't know. I need to teach you how to like put in all the graphics, Eric, so that you could host and do all the same stuff that we do. But yeah, I don't know. I'll let you guys know. We got a first round bye for our rec league playoffs. We've been really good this season, so gonna try and go win a basketball game, man. We'll figure it out. I'll tweet it out on the main account. And I'll let you guys know tomorrow because I'll probably know what the deal is.
I have an idea. If
What's
it's
up?
at 7, just bring your computer, hook up to the Wi-Fi there, and we can watch your feed of your rec league game while I do the post-game show.
Oh, that'd be funny. Their internet sucks. And somebody would trample my computer, and then it'd be donezo for real. Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you guys know. We'll figure it out. If we play at 7, the stream will be a little bit late. It'll be like 8, but the game should be over at like 7:30. So it'd just be like normal for coming back from a game. I am gonna shower before that stream though. I don't know. Like I might start it right away. Like if we play at 7, I might start it right away. Just put your cam as the only cam up there, and let you do the intro and do everything, and then come back once I'm clean, man. I can't be dripping sweat on a post game show. Or I mean, if we lose, maybe it can just seem like I'm so mad I'm just sweating, but nah. Anyway. A little disjointed end to this. We'll figure it out. We'll catch you guys tomorrow on Blazers Uprise Live. And, of course, follow us on Twitter. All the Twitter links for me, Eric, and the channel's Twitter page are in the description below. That's how you can stay up to date with things. Anything else?
No, have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Yep, we will catch you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Until next time, as always, peace out